Greetings all, and thank you for taking the time to tune into this iteration of the FLC's Lab Showcase at the National Institute of Standards and Technology. Well, we have already run through a six-part series that helped introduce and explain the internal innovation engines at NIST, our world-renowned laboratories. We thought it wise to help introduce the community to some of our innovative manufacturing programs. So to start this next mini series, we're going to showcase the Manufacturing Extension Partnership at NIST. But before we jump into the important stuff like the vast technical and operational expertise or resources of the MEP centers, and the whole reason you all are here, allow me to shamelessly plug myself and my office once again. I'm John Bittman, an interagency policy specialist in the Technology Partnerships Office. Our office serves NIST researchers and other customers by structuring the collaborative relationships with businesses of all sizes and every industry. And we also serve the interagency technology transfer community through our various consensus building, forum establishing, and/or best practice sharing efforts. And through that interagency role, I serve as the host agency representative to the Federal Laboratory Consortium. As you may be aware, NIST serves as the host agency to the FLC, which means we provide administrative and other support services to the consortium as mandated by Congress through legislation. But before we jump into our presentation, if you have any questions for the presenter, please submit them through the Q&A box, and we will try to get through as many as possible following the end. And now that we're all squared away, I'm happy to introduce our featured presenter, who will need no such squaring away, Nagesh Rao, Deputy Director of the Manufacturing Extension Partnership at NIST. Before joining NIST, Nagesh served as the Chief Information Officer for the Bureau of Industry and Security, a sister bureau to NIST within the Department of Commerce. But he has developed and implemented several federal government-wide policy initiatives spurring small businesses and technological innovation. So without any further ado, let me turn the floor over to Nagesh. Welcome.
Hey, thank you, John, and it's a pleasure to be here today and to meet with all of you from the Federal Lab Consortium community. It's been a minute since I've engaged with a lot of you, I would say. I knew John from back in the day, 10 years ago, when I was working on STTR policy endeavors over at the U.S. Small Business Administration, and worked with the team there to help implement the creation of the Growth Accelerator Fund competition, as well launch the SBIR.gov platform and a variety of other digital initiatives. So, you know, I spearheaded and worked on a lot of science and technology policy oriented programs and efforts around small business and medium-sized enterprises. And then I did a pivot into the IT world for about 7 years. And I'm now in month 7 of my tenure, returning back into the science and innovation technology policy space here with the NIST Manufacturing Extension Partnership as their deputy director. And I'm looking forward to an engaging and lively conversation. So let me start off with our quick plug about the MEP program. It is a public-private partnership. I would say the premier public-private partnership program with centers in all 50 states and Puerto Rico, dedicated to serving small and medium-sized manufacturers. Over the last year, we, the MEP Center network community, interacted with more than 36,000 manufacturers, leading to $16.2 billion in sales, $2.9 billion in cost savings, and $4.8 billion in new client investments that helped create or retain more than 107,000 plus jobs. And that's not possible without the partnership with all of you in the Federal Lab Consortium and working with great people like John Bittman and Jamal Mavrakis. We can't get that good work done. Just simply put, John and I serve under the same team here at NIST, which is under the Associate Directors of Industry and Innovation Services, led by Mojdeh Behar, who I've known also for a long time. She's a fantastic leader. And I do report to Mojdeh, besides also to Pravina Raghavan, my colleague here as the director. So with that said, we'll go to the next slide and get into a little bit of about the MEP program a little bit more. As John mentioned, we are part of the U.S. Department of Commerce. We are one of the 3 main extramural programs at NIST, along with the Technology Partnership Office, the Office of Advanced Manufacturing, and MEP. The Baldrige team, I would also say, does some extramural work too, but it's a little bit different. But we are the heart and soul on manufacturing policy, and our goal is to help move that mission forward to help create jobs and economic growth and opportunity in partnership with our bureaus here at Commerce and as well as in partnership with our federal interagency partners. Next slide, please. As John's mentioned, with NIST and our industry's national laboratories, we have Nobel Prize winners. We've got our F51 MEP centers. We have 17 in the Office of Manufacturing, the USA Institutes, the Office of Advanced Manufacturing. We have the Baldrige Performance Excellence Program we've talked about. We've worked with 10 collaborative institutes and 400 plus businesses using our NIST facilities at any given time. Next slide, please. The national network. This is a great overview of what we've got here across the network. It was established with the goal of transferring technology developed in federal labs to small, medium-sized manufacturers. That was the original intent. And since 1988, the MEP efforts have been helping small, medium-sized manufacturers via these centers across the 50 states and Puerto Rico. And they have manufacturers have access to these resources to improve operations, chart paths to growth, and remain competitive in the global marketplace. Our economic stability and backbone does rely on the strong manufacturing sector. One that creates jobs, fosters innovation, and drives economic growth. Because these manufacturing companies make up a large proportion of U.S. firms, and their success to our essential robust manufacturing ecosystem. And I don't need to preach about the importance of the resiliency of our manufacturing capacity and capabilities. We witnessed that through the pandemic. We witnessed our gaps and shortfalls through the pandemic and the impact on supply chain and our resiliency as a manufacturing hub of excellence. We outsourced a lot of that capabilities over the years, and now we've realized the detriment that has caused us, and that's why we're pushing harder for reshoring. That's why we're pushing harder to invest here in America and invest in our talent from workforce development all the way to adapting technological innovations to help us move forward and progress forward. To make it here in America, we cannot allow the pitfalls from the pandemic hamper us again. So those are lessons learned that we need to get back into a stronger prowess around manufacturing. And these centers of excellence across the states are doing fantastic work at any given time. And we call it a national network because the whole idea was, rather than allowing for silo competition, we wanted it to be a whole of one. And the whole of one is ensuring these MEP centers are working together collaboratively, trading and coordinating with each other on best practices, leveraging off each other's strengths, mitigating their weaknesses, and partnering in true form. So that, if a company in Illinois is looking for some automotive, capacity development, they don't need to go far. They can actually go and work with an MEP center in Michigan, and the Illinois MEC team can help facilitate that conversation. Or if a company, let's say Georgia's looking at some agriculture issues, they can work through the Georgia Tech team to have access to any of our providers in the Midwest, whether it's Nebraska or Iowa, Sirius or Missouri or Kansas or even TMAC in Texas or California or even Hawaii, right? To get better resources on how they could help foster and facilitate better agro manufacturing capacities that they may not have thought of before. Again, it's truly a network, and we're trying to break down the silos and continue to keep those silos broken so we can cross-pollinate, cross-collaborate, and cross-engage with each other across the entire ecosystem. Next slide, please. I've already I already kind of highlighted why it's this national network, but if you look at it, that local expertise with access to national resources, right? So, through the network collaborations at the federal, state, and local level, the MEP centers work with these manufacturers, develop new products and customers, expand, diversify market, adopt new technology, enhance value with supply chains. We're looking to connect other organizations and federal research labs that share a passion for enhancing the manufacturing community. And, that extensive coverage, right? An MEP service location is typically within a 2 to 3 hour drive of any manufacturer in the country. And these companies have access to not only the local expertise, but the resources and knowledge from across the country through the network, which I've already been pounding on over the last few minutes. We've got 460 service locations. So we have 51 centers, but they break down into sub-centers. For example, I've been to the one in Michigan where, the main hub's right near Ann Arbor, not far from Ann Arbor, South Lyon area. But they have other centers that support the Michigan Manufacturing Technology Center of Excellence, for example, across the state. Like they have 5 or 6 different sub-centers that report up to the main HQ center. And same in New York, same in California, and most of these states. And so that's why you've got 460 service locations. It's not just a one center. It's one center with a bunch of different, sub-centers out there supporting and servicing across the state. And so that's why, when you amplify and get bigger, it's a web of excellence. And those 460 service locations have more than 1,400 manufacturing experts that serve as trusted advisors and technical experts, ready and able to assist small and medium-sized manufacturing operations and companies. We are working across the country that include universities, community colleges, technical schools, the labs, state and local government, economic development organizations, OEMs, and more. And working through these centers, a small and medium-sized manufacturer has access to all these organizations and resources. Next slide, please. This is, what we're looking at digging into from the network, right? Cybersecurity, food industry, quality management, business growth, exporting and reshoring, workforce development, technology scouting, industry 4.0, lean Six Sigma, supply chain supplier scouting, sustainability, risk mitigation. They do an awful lot. And it's a wealth of resources that we help fund in partnership with the state or with the private enterprise or a nonprofit organization in those regions. And, what we're also doing now, which is really cool, is partnering more with our Office of Advanced Manufacturing. I like to say the MEP centers are your front door for the mom and pop that want to go through the, that general store kind of thing. But behind the scenes, we've forging partnerships with the Office of Advanced Manufacturing Institutes. And for example, we signed a MOU with MXD, one of the premier institutes from the Office of Advanced Manufacturing, so that those centers can focus on coordination and accelerating adoption of digital manufacturing technologies through collaborative research and development and workforce training, and helping bridge the gap between the mom and pop, small, medium size, in partnership with the larger scale organizations that have been there and done that, and leveraging those best practices and coordination together. Next slide, please. We've, from the MEP program, we also do a lot of intellectual property and tech transfer support. We provide a critical bridge from NIST to industry in partnership with good people like John Bittman and the team over at TPO, led by Bethany Lofton and Jeff DeVitrio right now. It's important to note that many U.S. manufacturers, especially U.S. small and medium-sized manufacturers, tend to be focused on day-to-day challenges of running a manufacturing operation. And that's going to include incorporating technology into existing operations, or basic challenges of, improving reliability and resiliency, or just making payroll. I know, I worked a small business for my parents, and so, any given day for my parents who ran a rental property business, you have to be the Jack or Jill of all trades for a small business. Like you got to learn and know how to operate and wear different hats. And so the MEP centers, we're trying to help augment and support as a support service, and help bridge those broad range of challenges, and help ensure the small businesses are getting common sense support, for the company, so that we can have that stronger return on investment. Next slide, please. I won't dig into this too much. I mean, it's part of my slide deck, but I know John and the NIST team have already covered a lot of what NIST does in general. But just friendly reminder, if you haven't seen this or or curious again, NIST has an a lot of cool stuff here. I come to work pretty much daily. My two young boys are over at the child care facility nearby, so it's nice for me to come here daily and crank out my day here. And I get a chance to walk around the NIST campus here in Gaithersburg, Maryland, and it's phenomenal. It's just it's unreal. And so I encourage any of you, if you have never had the chance to, definitely walk the grounds of NIST campus. It's you'll understand when you get here, and I think you'll really appreciate it more when you stand in front of the Newton tree, right near 101, building 101, where the library and the museum and artifacts of NIST history are here. There's a tree, there's a bunch of trees, but there's one critical tree here that is a descendant tree of the trees from Sir Isaac Newton's orchard when he came up with the theory of gravity. And when you stand in front of that tree and know it's the descendant tree of a tree from Sir Isaac Newton's orchard, which was inspiration for his notion of gravity, you start to realize the importance of science and technology more than ever. You get, it's this moment of humility you get. I like to go to that tree a lot. I know I'm going off topic for a second, but there's a reason why I'm doing that. I'm reminding you all again that we all play a role in this puzzle, and the laboratory programs here fight above their weight class and do some amazing work. And I encourage you all, if you ever get the chance to come and visit, take it in. Take it all in, because it's doing some of the most critical, groundbreaking work that is sorely needed on ensuring we have the right science and technology standards as we evolve, especially in a more technologically evolved world we've become. Next slide, please. The Matter program, this is something we do have here at NIST, where we are also ensuring that our team here at headquarters at NIST MEP is connecting to this technical and subject matter experts here at NIST. It's an opportunity to plug in and leverage those resources. For instance, we have like an innovative small photonics company in Hawaii with an SBR phase 2 from the Army, and it developed and delivered a unique low microscope system. And they were looking to adapt it and fine tune it better, and they leveraged the NIST Matter team to help them kind of get to a better place on that. And that was because of the MEP centers. Through Innovate Hawaii, the MEP center connected to the NIST Measurement Materials Lab and helped that company get better connected on some development of the microscopy technology for that company. And as a result of the collaboration, which led to a creative between the company and NIST, MML was able to apply their expertise in ultra-fast microscopy and spectroscopy and help the company achieve its advances of the technology they were developing under an SBIR funding. So, many different examples. That's just one unique one, but it's a great effort for us as NIST MEP to help serve as a bridge between NIST labs and the powerhouse of NIST scientists and technologists with the small, medium-sized companies, in partnership with the MEP centers that are looking to source expertise and help bridge those knowledge gaps. Next slide, please. Survey results. I already talked about this. That was my spiel at the beginning of what we've accomplished and what we've done. So, this is how we punch above our weight class. And since inception in 1988, right? We're a 35-year-old program now. We've helped, I said 36,000 manufacturers this past year, but overall we've worked with over 154,000, and our support of 148.7 billion in sales. We've helped support, retain, or create over 1.67 million jobs since inception. So again, historic program, fights above its weight class, and has been critical pillar for our manufacturing excellence here in America. Next slide, please. For the FLC community that of interest, you know, because you all are the labs, we're doing a lot of collaboration with y'all, whether it's Argonne, NREL, Livermore, Idaho, PNNL, Johns Hopkins, JPL, NASA, NIST. We're doing it. We're pushing forward. I've got a goal of trying to double our collaboration. So I'm targeting by the end of this fiscal year or start of early next fiscal year that we've doubled our collaborations with the labs, and with you all, I hope we can hit the marks higher and faster. So, you know, my ask to all of you is, if you've got opportunities that you want us to tag team on and get MOUs together so that we're coordinating our collaborations and fortifying our strengths, email me at g.rao@nist.gov. I'll put you in touch with Jyoti. She's on it, and she wants to build out the portfolio of collaborations, and we want to tag team and support. So next slide, please. How can MEP help you? If you're an academic institution, if you're a federal lab, if you're a manufacturer, right? So like, these are the different areas that we can help you with. And you know, the biggest ask I can tell you all as part of the FLC is help me help you, but help advance the gospel, help let folks know about the good work we're doing here, and help us get 10x and hit the North Star. Last slide is our connect with us, and that will be it. So I'll turn it back over to John for the Q&A.
Hey, Nagesh, thank you so much for that that presentation. When I first heard about the Matter Plus or Matter program and then the Matter Plus, I said, wow, that is just an unbelievable opportunity for small and medium manufacturers who are looking to get some of the best expertise in the world to help solve some of their technical issues. And it was always my goal to see that expanded to the whole, let's get the whole federal laboratory enterprise involved in solving some of these problems. But I know that we're taking steps to get there eventually, and that's amazing. And specifically that example that you brought with the microscopy lenses, or needing the technical issues with the NIST laboratory, well, we've got a lot of real niche laboratories across the federal government that might be better suited to fix some of those other problems. So I appreciate everything you said. What's MEP looking forward to in the future, in the next 5 years, where these federal labs might be able to plug in?
Sure. So we've got a 5-year plan on our website. If you want to take a look at it, we've got 3 core pillars that we're focused on as part of our 5-year plan. And that is workforce development, helping small and medium-sized companies leverage and innovate and adapt to the rise of technology and innovation solutions out there, and then mitigating our supply chain risks and beefing up our resiliency around supply chain needs. And we're mapping that out with our SCOIN initiative, which is the Supply Chain Optimization Intelligence Network, and understanding, you know, our ebbs and flows, but most importantly, where we're leading in manufacturing and where the gaps are, and then what can we do policy-wise to help mitigate those risks and gaps so that we're not caught off guard. And then we have a 4th component, but it's a sub-pillar of the sort, and that is around getting savvy and smarter around cybersecurity risks, especially as it impacts small and medium-sized companies. As a former national security CIO, I can personally attest to the need to be cyber smart and cyber savvy. Our adversaries are attacking us daily. I can tell you that. As the Bureau of Industry and Security CIO, which is the national security arm of Commerce, I saw our sites get attacked all the time. They didn't penetrate, they didn't make it through, but they attacked. And I kept very vigilant watch with my team And I did not allow for one penetration or intrusion to happen. Thank God, knock on wood. You know, I'm no longer there, and I'm hoping that the succession plan's in place to keep it going forward and to fortify it. But I will tell you right now, our adversaries do not care about us. They will at any instant mess with us if they could. And so it is incumbent upon us to get smarter, stronger, and savvier, and be ever so vigilant around our cybersecurity. If anyone recalls that ransomware attack on the gas pipeline from a couple years ago, that was real. That's why when the DOJ put out a note a couple weeks ago about some of the deep state infrastructure activities from the Chinese, that's real. That's absolutely real. And we must mitigate that, and we must stop it.
Yeah, and MEP's national network is lucky to have you with that experience. The MEP offers a large menu selection of different ways to engage, whether it's the networking events, training events, etc. How can we get the federal labs to participate? Just should we start sending our folks to these? Are there other ways?
Great, you know, speaking engagements, you know, I'm open to anything and everything on the table. So if there's speaking opportunities that you all want, happy to make that happen. If there's, we have a monthly meeting with our national network. So if you all want some time and want to talk about some of the good work you're doing that might be of interest to the MEP centers, happy to get you on the slot there. We do convenings a few times a year around the sergeant directors, and happy to make sure you're part of the agenda. And of course, our national forum that happens every couple of years. Last year it happened in September in Buffalo, so the next one will be next year. But you know, there are opportunities, and the MEP centers themselves have various programs and events they're doing all the time. You know, so you know, if there are specific centers of excellence that you wish to engage with, let me know. My team will facilitate introductions, and y'all can maybe get on the agenda for programming that the local MEP center is doing. You know, I want to make sure youth FLC is a known quantity and a known commodity that should be plugged in with the center, so that when the centers are, you know, working or supporting a client, and they're like, you know, who might have a good idea about a connection to like a research lab or a scientist over at a lab, you know, oh hey, let's plug the FLC. They might know who we can talk to and help get a front door access to our client. You know, I want to make sure it's door-to-door engagement, right? Yeah. You know, no one should have to go through a game of telephone to get help.
And so that kind of reminds me of like, or you know, piques my interest in at these monthly meetings and elsewhere. How are you guys kind of organized by industry expertise? I know you touch all manufacturing levels, but do you have subcommittees?
Yep.
How's that?
We do. Yeah, no, great question. So at the monthly meetings, we do it's more high level and informational, but we do have node meetings, and we do have some subtopical meetings of interest depending on the industry and sector. So, you know, if there's subtopics of interest that you're like most focused on, whether it's automotive or if it's, you know, food or cybersecurity, digital manufacturing, you know, let me know, and I'll plug in with Melissa's team, which manages the centers, or with Jyoti's team, which manages Matter Plus and whatnot, so that when they do their various convenings or engagements with the center directors, we can make sure that FLC is top of mind as someone who should be part of the conversation.
All right, now we have a specific question entering the chat, but I think you're going to be able to help them tremendously. So we have somebody who's interested in seeking some help out of North Dakota. They're involved with phototyping and oil field waste remediation and struggling for technical help. They've reached out to Advanced Manufacturing, but what are their steps? What's their best path forward?
Send me an email. I'll connect them to Jyoti and Melissa, and we'll get Melissa connect to the North Dakota MEP Center, and I'll have Jyoti connect with the Matter Plus team to see who can jump on the issue first.
Excellent. So let's plug you into that MEP national network as fast as possible, please. All right. And so You've been all over the place when it comes to federal government innovation programs and small businesses. And so you know what's going out there in your EDAs, your SBAs, whatever's helping our innovation and industrial base. I've seen MEP be a little deliberate in getting added into some of the opportunities out there. And so how's that going lately?
I think it's going well. You know, I don't like to hide, um, and I like to be out front and provocative in our push to make sure we're, not only do we have a seat at the table, but that we are putting value and worth of time at the table. So, you know, we've been engaged with the EDA Tech Hubs, for example. 6 or 7 of my staff have supported the SBA Growth Accelerator Fund competition reviews. We've supported TPO NIST, TPO with SBR reviews. I believe 4 or 5 of my staff helped Jackie and team out with the reviews on that. So I'm being pretty forthright and deliberate. I want to make sure my team is exercising themselves fully, intellectually, and most importantly, effectively and useful in support of the mission, whether in support of the mission of the MEP mission, the NIST mission, the commerce mission, but most importantly, the mission of the people, right? Our job as public servants is to help the people. And if we're not helping the people, we're not doing our job.
Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, here's another question from the community. If a small business within the MEP network wishes to find out more about the cybersecurity services offered by the MEP, who should they contact? Is that directly to the national office?
Yeah, just send it to me, and I'll connect you to Jyoti and Savan on our team on the cybersecurity stuff he's working on.
Very cool. Excellent. Do we have
NIST just put out a cybersecurity risk framework out, I believe yesterday. Kevin Stein and team did that because I just saw the broadcast and the posting on LinkedIn. So that's something else we're taking a look at. The cybersecurity frameworks that NIST does is pretty robust, and Kevin Stein and his team do a really good job.
Yeah, nice to have them so close by for such initiatives. So 51 MEP centers across the country. Some are universities, some are private. So how does that look? How's that get chosen? Does it happen every year? Is it every other year?
Yeah, so it's competed. It's a cooperative agreement. So in each state, and it's a 10-year cooperative agreement. And it's up for a lot of the centers over the next few years will be up for competition to rebid. So, you know, we put NOFOs out for those. And it's, you know, whatever is the best model. Some of the folks put forth a model where it's driven by the state. Others have put models like, you know, look at Indiana, for example, it's driven by Purdue University. Others put out ones where they're a private sector kind of consortium of the sort. It's an a la carte approach. It's not a one size fits all, and it's heavily dependent on like the strengths of that region and what they, you know, decide they want to do as the right appropriate bid. But, you know, some are more economic development organization tied into, and others are more industry driven, and that's okay. Again, it drives around the comfort levels of what works well for that region.
Gotcha. And I've got another question that might be a little out there. So I know MEP's focus is those small and medium manufacturers, but we've got a lot of big manufacturers in this country too. Are they just, you know, totally bifurcated, or are they playing a part in the MEP?
They're playing a part in the MEP role, and they're always more than welcome to leverage it. I mean, but those are companies that usually have a little bit more resources. You know, so I mean, if they want to, they can. But there's also the Office of Advanced Manufacturing that's designed for them as well, Mike Molnar's team. But I heavily emphasize small, medium-sized companies because, you know, generally speaking, that's what MEP is designed to support and do, because it's augmenting and helping give a boost up, you know, for those that don't have the vast resources that a big prime would. having worked for a major textile manufacturing company years ago out of Sri Lanka, I know what the resources look like between the bigs and the smalls.
Mhm.
We had 80,000 employees. Our revenue was a few billion. We were the OEM for Ralph Lauren, Victoria's Secret, Lululemon, Nike. So, if you wear any of that gear, that was our company was MAS Holdings Twinery. I worked with the Twinery team supporting the C-suite there on our corporate venture development teams and whatnot. But like, I know what resources look like for a major company and what it's not like. Our company in Sri Lanka was basically, it's like if anyone's ever seen Samsung, they're like a third of the GDP value of South Korea. That was the same for MAS. We were like maybe, say about 15, 20% accounted for the GDP of Sri Lanka.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think this next question might be posed to me a little bit, but it's asking if I wanted to start a manufacturing unit with local laboratory technology, what would be the procedure? And I think I would suggest reaching out to that laboratory's technology transfer office to begin discussions about acquiring the technology through, or the use of the technology through a license. But I'll go ahead and let you take a stab at it too, Nikesh.
Yeah, I concur with your answer, John.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's fine. And yeah, the conversations, the entry point to most of our technology laboratories for technologies are going to be the technology transfer office of that laboratory. However, the FLC does have a lot of information if you're looking for a specific technology or manufacturing technology in a specific space. You might be able to find such a technology on the FLC's business portal. Which attempts to be a one-stop shop to search the entire federal enterprise of technologies available for licensing and or co-development. So that would be my suggestions. Reach out to the FLC directly for more information on that. And then I always like to pose this one at the end if we have time, but what question haven't I asked you, Nigesh, that I should have that might help the FLC folks, learn a little bit more about the MEP centers? All right, that would be a good one. Nagesh, do we have you?
I'm still here.
Oh, yeah. What question haven't we asked that you think I should have asked that we could help?
You've asked it. I was about to say how to get involved, but we've already talked about that. So I will put a plug. We have our Manufacturing Advisory Board, our FACA, which is the Federal Advisory Commission. That meeting is next week here in DC, March 5th and 6th. So March 5th will be here in Gaithersburg, not at NIST campus, but nearby NIST. And March 6th will be at downtown DC at the U.S. Department of Commerce headquarters. We'll be doing the meeting both on March 5th and 6th. We are the program on the 6th at Commerce headquarters. We have some special guests coming to meet during the board meeting. One from the White House and also from Commerce. So, I do hope if you are interested in learning more about the Manufacturing Advisory Board that we have to support and advise the MEP leadership and this leadership on how we can help spur and develop and grow manufacturing here in the U.S. That should be a very good program. It'll probably be one of the liveliest ones we've had because it's touching on topics we're going to be talking about include automotive transition from internal combustion engine to EV, and also what we're doing to help spur the space manufacturing scene, given the rise of manufacturing and space technology development.
Well, thank you for putting that on my radar. And so if I'm interested in registering to attend or view it, do I head to the Federal Register website?
Yeah, you can go. It should be on the Federal Register notice, FedReg, but it should be on the NIST MEP website as well. And if you look,
excellent. That's some great information. I do look forward to seeing it because I imagine that's going to be a lively chat.
It will be. Give me 1 second. Let me find the link.
And while you're looking for it, if I wanted to join the MEP network as a small medium manufacturer, do I have to pay anything?
Not that I recall you do. No, I mean, it's more of a service level engagement with that you work into when you go to an MEP center based on what you decide to pursue.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yep, here we go. I got the link right here, putting it in the chat.
That's perfect because I'll be using it right now. Thank you.
And what you'll do is you want to click on the 2024. It's the March agenda and the Federal Register notice. But I put the link in so you can see the previous meetings that we've had over the last couple of years.
Oh, that's fantastic, my gosh. All right. Well, I don't think I have any more questions in the chat. So, Nagesh, let me just thank you for your contribution to today's presentation and the first of our mini series on the NIST manufacturing programs. And as our audience has seen, MEP Network has incredible capabilities for their partners to collaborate on their manufacturing initiatives, and we couldn't possibly touch everything today. But I do encourage you to visit the NIST MEP and the MEP Center websites for additional information on partnering opportunities. And Nagesh, any or closing comments?
I look forward to working with you all, and stay in touch, reach out to me. I'm always I'm pretty responsive, and I want to see us forge new ties and new opportunities that we have not thought of before.
Excellent. I'm looking for the same. So again, thank you for your time, Nagesh. And thank you all in the audience.
Well done, John. Thank you.
Have a great day, and I'll see you soon.
Yep. Take care all.